your bedroom, okay?
Okay.
Hello? So that we don't have it, so I don't hear it.
What up, what up, what up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. I'm Randy Chambliss, the private money lender expert. What's up? Listen, I am excited to be streaming live with you today. This is episode number one of many of the Private Lending Insider podcast. I'm the CEO and founder of Chambliss Mortgage Capital. Chambliss Mortgage Capital is a reliable nationwide direct private money lender. We have a lending private credit fund that's backing us. They have funded over $10 billion over the last 10 years in regards to investment real estate properties. As a result of what we do, we provide education, expert guidance, and private money to real estate investors, developers, and entrepreneurs who want fair access to capitals to fund a profitable real estate deal so they can earn the income they prefer and really live that lifestyle that they really want. So today we have a very, very special guest. This young man's name is Mr. Romacio. This gentleman been in network marketing for over 10 years, became the number 16 income earner in the world in the profession, but he also have a great passion and background for mortgages and real estate. So I don't want to steal his thunder. I want to introduce Mr. Romacio. Are you there, sir?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Congratulations to you and this platform and the success of your business. Over 10 billion. I heard you say that you guys have been able to successfully fund in the area of real estate. Congratulations, my brother.
Much appreciated, sir. And so, listen, I want to dive right into your story. You and I were having a brief conversation, and just hearing your background, your story. Tell the people, why. Put it this way: where you currently at today in the profession, right? Where you at today, and then just walk backwards on your journey into when you first got started. If you don't mind.
Okay, so starting where I'm at now, I live in California, Sacramento, to be specific. And at present, for about the last 5 years, I'm in the commodities, trade, and finance space. And I'm what you call an asset manager. I work with some of the wealthiest and largest families in the entire world. I'm not at liberty to discuss who they are. And of course, there's a bunch of signed paperwork that I'm not privy to say. But in short, my function and my role for these wealthy families is essentially to help them make more money. My job basically is typically they have generally three different types of assets. One is liquid cash, right? And so my job is to, with their liquid cash, get them involved in different trade programs that they can make, 50x their money per se. Secondly, sometimes they have what we call banking instruments, things like standby letter of credits, MTNs, bank guarantees, sovereign guarantees, just different what we call banking instruments. And my job is to sometimes take a look at those instruments and see if we can actually refinance them and put them into trade. And then thirdly, another type of asset that they may have is what we call a hard asset. Maybe it might be an oil refinery that they may want to refinance or restructure and take that into trade. So in short, what I do for some of the wealthiest families in the world is essentially help them make more money is pretty much what I do in the commodities, trade, and the finance space. So that's kind of where I'm at now for the last 5 years. Prior to that, kind of what you were talking about, I spent about 16 years in the network marketing, multi-level marketing profession. And prior to that, I was a real estate and mortgage broker for about 20 years. So that's kind of a condensed version of where I'm at now and a little bit of the story of where I've come from.
Awesome. Listen, I much appreciated. It takes a person that has a lot of vision, a lot of faith, a lot of patience, and then a huge belief to be able to be in the industry of mortgages and real estate for 20 plus years. Then make that transition to the network marketing profession, retire from there, and then move on to be able to help other people to build their wealth, generational wealth. And so, Mr. Romacio, we spoke off the radio, on the phone call, the whole goal of this platform of the Private Lending Insider podcast is to be able to provide the education, expert guidance, and private capital that people need to be able to invest. So oftentimes, a lot of individuals go to traditional banks and try to get business capital. And 80% of the time, they're told no, they can't help, right? So then some people who's very savvy, they may look at the venture capitalist company, the private equity firms. And like I know, the venture capitalist company, they usually invest in startups, usually tech companies. Then a private credit, they'll look at real estate investment companies to have a percentage of ownership in the business. So combined, doing some stats and statistics, we ask other people do their own research, right? It's about $87 trillion with a T that both venture capital and private credit firms actually hold in a portfolio, about $87 trillion with a T. And so about 1.33% of that invested back into businesses that started and ran by women and people of color combined, right? And so the question is, how do the average person get access to the capital they need to fund their deals? Well, when we look at the biggest investors into the private credit and the venture capitalist company, most of the money that's invested into them is public employee pension systems. So we all have people in our family that's doctors and accountants and work for the public hospitals and nurses, firefighters, police officers, et cetera, teachers. And a portion of their income for pension for the future is being distributed to these venture capitalist companies. And so what we determined is, okay, how can we provide private equity or private credit to individuals that they can be able to go buy a property that's deeply discounted because it's distressed, it's an eyesore in the neighborhood, the taxes are not being paid because nobody's living in the property. Well, that developer, because the developer, whether they're a savvy developer, brand new, aspiring, they can buy their property, rehab it, and now they can rent it out as an affordable house or workforce house, I like to say. So now they have access to the capital, they have access to the education. And so now they'll be able to create more affordable workforce housing and then ultimately be able to prevent and end homelessness, or at least reduce homelessness in our communities working in. So tell me a little bit about the financial literacy that you received when you first started, and then the financial literacy piece that you're educating your high-end clients today.
So listen, when I first started, there wasn't all this podcast stuff, and the internet was alive, but it wasn't popping like what it is now. The way that I operate, Randy, is very simple. It's very simple. I'm 46. I've been this way since I was probably about 15, 16 years old. And here's what it is. My philosophy is to always have a mentor, someone that has already succeeded in whatever it is that I'm thinking about doing. And to me, that's the shortcut, because I always tell people, I always say to people, if you would have known then what it is that you know now, you'd be much further along. And so wisdom, it typically comes from two places. One, you will attain wisdom from making your own mistakes, right? And the second place where wisdom comes from is learning from the successes and the failures of someone else, AKA a mentor. So for me, many years ago, when I was born into the real estate and mortgage industry, it was a gentleman by the name of Brent Peterson, right here in Sacramento. I met this gentleman I met him at a network marketing function. I'm 46, so we're talking, I was around 21. That's how long ago that was now. Okay, I was about 21, 19, 20 years old, something like that. And I remember learning that Mr. Peterson he owned his own mortgage and real estate company. And at the time, Randy, I didn't know anything about what a mortgage, and I knew very little about real estate. I was living in an apartment at the time. And so, but you could tell from talking to him and watching him, he was very educated. He was very astute. He understood all of the nuances of the profession. He wasn't just a general practitioner. I looked at him like he was a surgeon. He knew his craft, right? And I knew nothing. All I had was willpower and hard work. That's all I knew. But you know what? It turns out that's all you need. So that's all you need for any profession. I don't care what it is. Okay. And so I got started. He showed me how the business worked at the time as a mortgage broker. And I pretty much did as told. I backed it up with hard work and I began to succeed. But one of the reasons why I succeeded was because I was able to copy what it was that he was doing right. You see what I'm saying? And so to be able to do this, a person's got to be humble. You know, you've got to one of the wisest things a person can do is recognize that they don't know everything. I think a fool is somebody that says, "Oh, I know this, I know that," and turns out the moment the fool gets in front of the educated person, the educated person says, "Wait a minute, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." So there's no reason to be phony or to be fake. Humble yourself, learn from experts. And that's how I was born into the mortgage and real estate profession. And I began to become literate on the terminology. I became literate on how it works, all the mechanics. And then, you know, I think at that time, about 4.5 years into me starting, I became a multimillionaire. And that was something, I didn't come for money, you know. So I got involved with the right people, Mr. Peterson. I got involved at the right time, right? And I worked really hard. And if you get those three things right, the right people, the right timing, and you work hard, good things will happen to you. So that's kind of what happened back then. And if we fast forward right now, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, 5 years ago, I knew nothing about commodities. I knew nothing about oil and gas. I knew nothing about diamond mines. I knew nothing about trading platforms. I knew nothing about that the world's greatest wealth comes from trading. I knew nothing about this stuff. Absolutely zero. But again, I got started and I actually identified a mentor. And actually this time it was a female. It was actually it was a minority woman. I don't want to mention her name for confidentiality's sake, but she had done very, very well in this profession. And she had become one of the owners of a Lamborghini racing team, you know. And I'm like, wow. I mean, she's out of New York. And I'm like, Lamborghini racing team. Wow, what's going on, right? And so long story short, she took a liking to me and she began to carve out a little bit of her time and kind of, again, make me become literate on the space. She began to teach me. And, you know, and that's kind of how that went. So the bottom line for me, I love what you're doing, where you've got a platform where you are educating people starting today, every week about, you know, this profession and how it works, because you're right. A lot of people don't know about private money lending. They don't know. I'm very familiar with it, but a lot of people don't. And I think this is really smart what you're doing to be able to educate people on the ways that they can actually learn about private money lending, because you're right. Most people go to banks and whether it's their credit score, their lack of experience, whatever, they get denied. But in the private sector, when they do the deal, they're not doing the deal based upon the individual. They're underwriting the deal based upon the deal itself. And so long as the deal that they're bringing to you meets certain criteria and parameters, they've got a higher probability of having success. And I'm super happy once again that you are educating people on this and how it works.
Much appreciated. And I'm grateful and I'm humble for those words. And that's the key, is be able to each one, teach one, and pass it on. Your mentors in the past, he learned that from somebody else. He just didn't stumble across it. And he passed that knowledge on to you. And you've done the same thing. You passed that knowledge on. And it's so wonderful because I always believe what you put out is what you get back.
That's right.
And so by you put out good seeds over the years, now all of a sudden you made a transition in your life. Now you found another mentor that compelled your career, your wealth to a whole nother a whole nother level, right? Because you put the time in and do the work. So we talked about financial literacy, and you even covered real estate literacy up in the story that you just shared. One of the things that I love, Mr. Romacio, I love to study it. I studied about the Bob Proctors. I studied the Reverend Ikes, and studied the Lisa Nichols. You name it. When it comes down to mindset, setting your mind on creating the life that you really want and you deserve and you prefer, walk us through that step when you didn't have the proper mindset, and then how did you obtain the belief that you had that you can go out there and make this thing happen?
Good question. Kind of a long answer, but I promise you it'll be worthwhile to all your listeners that do listen, because anytime somebody asks me a question about mindset, when I was a younger man, I used to just give them quick, flippant answers, things that you can probably read in a textbook, sound really good. But now that I'm a little bit wiser, I always want to give people the full story about mindset, because I want every person, no matter what their age is, no matter what their ethnicity is, I want them to understand that mindset is a choice. And for me, I'm always going to be authentic to my story. I'm really grateful to my mom and my dad, my parents. That was something that they raised us as Christians. My mom is a devout Christian. She's not religious, but she's very spiritual, and she does live by principles. So my family, both mom and dad, they're very principle-based people. And so one of the principles that they instilled in me and my brothers is that we could do anything if we put our mind to it. They really, ever since I was a baby, I've never known restrictions about what I could be and what I could do. Now, obviously, I learned as I matriculated in life that I'm a minority, and life is what it is, and you have to make good of the cards that you're dealt with. But my mindset, Randy, it never came from a place of lack. It never came from a place of jealousy. It never came from a place of envy. I always believed, ever since I was a little boy, if someone else is doing it, it's possible. And if it's possible, and you're willing to mentor or to show me how to do it, I can do it too, right? And where that truly comes from is the Bible. That's where it comes from. So when you ask me, what is the foundation upon my belief, I always go back to biblical principles that I was created in God's image, and I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. And that is my foundation for anything I get involved in. Now, I know that sounds really good, and I know that not everybody watching and listening has a biblical background. But the reason why that's so important to everybody listening is because God is our Father. And literally, we're all his children, no matter what your race is, no matter where you live, no matter what side of the tracks you grew up on, we are God's children, and we are created in his image. And I think it's really important for everybody to learn from the true source of where all your strength comes from. That's number one. Let me tell you why. Because you mentioned a minute ago Bob Proctor. You talked about Napoleon Hill, Lisa Nichols, Romacio Fulcher. You got all of these people that you'll learn from along the way. But it's very important that people understand that it's okay to have someone that may be mentoring you. And I want to make sure your listeners catch this. Anybody that mentors you, it's only supposed to be for a season of your life. It is not supposed to be for your entire life. And so I want to distinguish the difference between a mentor and some type of guru. There's only one God. I don't like when I see people worship a man or a woman. I want you to learn from somebody. I want you to learn from them, but don't worship them. See, that's why I wanted everyone to know that when it comes to mindset, it all originates in the good book. That's where it all starts from. Now, your Bob Proctors and all the other people that you just mentioned, all we're doing is parroting what's already written. All we're doing is regurgitating stuff that's already in the good book. And so my mindset, I'm grateful to my parents. I'm definitely grateful to God. And then the last thing that I will say on my own choosing, I only hang around other winners, both women and men, period. I believe, and this is what I firmly believe, winners will always find a way to win. Never forget that. They will always find a way to win. It doesn't matter what adversity that comes your way. The mindset of a winner is I will always find a way to win. And I always believe there's always a way if you're committed. So to the listeners out there that are looking for information about private lending and how they can do different real estate deals with you and your team, I'm super grateful that you're creating this platform as an educational tool so people can actually see this as a solution for their challenges. Why? Because a person that has a winning mindset, there's always a way if you're committed. And I'm just glad that your people stumble across this on the different social media channels, and now they can become educated about something that they didn't know.
Absolutely. And I love that because just like you mentioned, that is the foundation. That word Bible. I usually tell my children, my students, listen, Bible, when you break down that acronym, is basic instruction before leaving Earth. So
That's
you're
right.
going to get some instruction from the creator, right? Just like you have a brand new TV come out the box. The first thing that you're going to see when you open up that package is going to be an instruction book.
That's right.
Which is going to be a bunch of laws. And if you keep those laws, your product is going to work perfectly. Same thing with the creator. There's one creator. He created us in his image. So it just makes sense to go to his instruction book to see how we should live.
That's it,
and
baby.
Like you said, now once we have that foundation, we could be able to build on it. And I always lead with mindset and how people think, especially people who are mentors like yourself, who have taught thousands of people, because that matters. You could have all the education in the world, how to find a property that's off the market. You could have all the education in the world, how to structure the deal, how to create a work scope, and how to sell that property. All that sounds good, it feels good, etc. But the bottom line is I use this acronym called BEAR, right? The B stands for belief. That belief determines, whatever your beliefs are, it determines your emotion, how you feel. That's the E. Your emotion is going to determine that action, that A, the action that you take, little action or massive action. And those actions is going to turn into results, whether the results you prefer or the results you don't prefer. But at the end of the day, if your results is not what you prefer, the solution is not to go to the actions. That's only a limited time. The solution is not to go to the emotions. You have to go down to the cause of it, and that's the belief. So now that you have the education, you're skilled, you're trained, you develop in real estate investing, you're passionate and committed about it because you're a part of the cause. But what's going to drive you when life hits you on that blind side? And that what's going to drive you is going to be that deep-rooted subconscious belief, that spirit man in you saying you can do this. And so that's very important because a lot of our listeners, sometimes we in wealth cycles, like, we have a real estate cycle, we have a financial market cycle. Right. And depending on the education, whether we at the top of that cycle or the bottom of the cycle, some people quit, they give up, they throw in the towel. But you don't have time to throw in the towel. Your wife or your spouse is dependent on you. Some people, mother and father, are dependent on them. Their children, their brothers and sisters, siblings are dependent on you. So you can't quit. You can't get up. You have to keep going. And that's the only way that you can win and win sustain a long term. So with that being said, sir, we have about 10 minutes left. The question is, when we take the financial literacy that you shared with us, that you learned along the way, we take that real estate literacy that you learned along the way, the beliefs, the mindset, how do we take those three things and build wealth out of it? Because our good book, like you mentioned, my favorite book said that I give you the power to create wealth. How do we create wealth?
First of all, great question. My belief about creating wealth is first of all, it starts in your mind. you have to believe in what you cannot see more than what you can see. There's some people that have a mindset that they say, I will only believe it if I can see it, right? And I think that that's very short-sighted. I think that when you understand the creative power that God that He deposited into all of us, you have to, and it's not easy, but you have to believe more in what you cannot see as opposed to what you can see. You have to. And so when you talk about creating wealth, the first thing, it's got to start inside of you. Whatever is inside of you, eventually is going to come out of you. Whatever is inside of you, eventually is going to come out of you. Okay. And that's very literal. If you eat a bunch of bad food, it's going to come out. You know what I'm saying? You'll see it. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to really understand, for all of your listeners, when you talk about creating wealth, and there's a difference between getting rich and wealth. When you talk about that, wealth, it's a mindset. Wealth is not an actual destination. It's a continuum. Okay. I'm still learning right now. I'm going to forever be learning. I'm always learning. What am I learning? I'm learning things about how the wealthy structure their finances. They don't have all of their money in one jurisdiction. Okay. I'm learning how they protect the money. I'm learning all the various different vehicles that they actually invest money in, and all the different strategies on how to use financial instruments as a way to generate more cash flow for them and more wealth. So my point to the listeners, I'm always learning. I'll give you one tip. When you talk about being wealthy. My next door neighbor, he's extremely wealthy. He recently just passed several months ago. Very, very wealthy guy. And I'll never forget, it was years ago. He said, Romacio, wealthy people, we never, ever pay interest. We receive interest from others, but we don't pay interest. So his philosophy, now this is he was in his mid 80s, okay? And he used to be a foster child. So he didn't come from money. He created his own wealth, from the bootstraps. But his philosophy, we don't pay interest, we receive it. And his premise about that was because when you look at interest, by the time you're done paying for something, it's a whole lot more than what you initially took, right? So I guess what I'm saying in short, to create wealth, it's not a destination, it's a process, right? It's a journey, right? And it's a mindset. It's constantly sharpening the mindset of how you steward a dollar. Let me put it to you this way. Something I had to learn is how to steward a dollar. When I was a younger man, and let's say if I were to go cut your grass and you paid me $10, I'm thinking, woohoo, I just got $10 from Randy. I got all this money. So I'm thinking the whole $10 is my money. The difference when you get into a wealth mindset, you learn that the $10 that I receive, my job is to steward the money. So part of being a steward, it means that the whole $10 is not mine. I got to pay taxes. I've got expenses for my business, right? So the whole $10 is not mine. And see, that's a mindset shift. When I was younger, broke mentality, I get $10, the whole $10 is mine. I got $10 to do whatever I want. Right. The difference now in the mindset is I receive the same $10, but I know only 30% of that $10 is truly mine. Because in my case, I've got to pay tithes and offering. That's something I believe in, right? I've got to pay taxes. I got to reinvest in my business. And then I got about 30% left. That's mine, right? So the difference is on the same $10 that I would make today, 3 of it is mine. 7 of it isn't. So there just gives you a quick little analysis, or illustration to show you maturing in your mind, maturing in your mindset. It's very, very important. When we talk about creating wealth, there are many facets to it. but it all starts in your mind of saying, I want to be wealthy because I want to help not just my family, but I want to help hopefully others in the world.
Mhm.
True, if that's a genuine intention of yours backed up with hard work, you then start to study wealthy people. You start to
Mhm.
study the mistakes and the successes. Again, always have a mentor. And that's my answer to you about creating wealth. It's not a destination, it's a journey. It encompasses many things, but the sole main thing about it is your mindset. Start to adopt a mindset of wealthy people. And if you don't come from wealth, which I didn't, so this is going to be hard what I'm about to say. You can't take the advice of people that do not have what you don't want.
Right.
You can't listen to people that, and it doesn't matter if they're your family members, your girlfriend, boyfriend. You can't listen to people. Listen, I had somebody tell me something, and they were very sincere, Randy, but they were sincerely wrong.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? The man was very sincere, but he was sincerely wrong. Okay, so you have to be careful of who you listen to, and just think of it this way: the moment you adopt someone's philosophy, you're also at the same time adopting their lifestyle. So ask yourself: is this the person I want to be taking advice from on this subject matter?
Awesome, awesome. So, guys, as you're listening to this, I want you to be thinking about investing with a purpose, right? So, imagine this for a moment. You have your family you taking care of. You have a journey to being financially free. You're helping others along the way. Now you're investing in properties. You're developing and redeveloping properties, creating affordable homes, and creating more workforce housing, all to be able to help prevent and reduce homelessness in your own community. So, thinking about you how good that would feel knowing that you are playing a major role that the government can't solve, that the local, state, federal government can't solve, the city council women, city council men in your community, even the banks in your community cannot solve because they're not real estate developers, they're not investors, right? And so if we're gonna reduce homelessness, we're gonna prevent it, and we're gonna create more affordable and workforce housing, then it's gonna be you all. You all gonna be the one to be able to take that baton and move that needle forward. But it's gonna take the education, the expert guidance, and the private capital to do it. Now, I want to invite you to chamblissmortgagecapital.com. When you go there, click at the very top, it says join a community, right? We have a free community that you can join where you can continue to get education, have expert guidance, but more importantly, be able to network with people all across the country and be able to build relationships. Mr. Romacio is calling in and reaching in from California, guys. I'm in Louisiana, but we made that connection. So there's other people on that platform to do that. So I encourage you to go and register and get involved in the community. So as we close out, Mr. Romacio, how can people get in touch with you, sir, to be able to provide value to them so they can continue to build wealth for their family through your products and services?
I'm not really here marketing anything. I'm just super proud of what it is that you're doing. So in the profession that I'm in now, we don't recruit anybody. Like I said, it's very private in what I do. But people can find me on Facebook, Romacio Fulcher. I'm there. I'm not hard to find, right? And then one of the things I do to give back is for the last 8.5 years, every Sunday at 4 o'clock Pacific, world here in the United States, I pretty much do a free call. It's about an hour, and it's just a call of me teaching people different success tips on how to be successful. It's one directional call. There's no advertisement for anything. We've never asked anyone for a credit card. It's completely free. Like I said, it's just one directional. It's just, I believe in a principle of, what we make happen for others, I believe God will make it happen for you. And so God has been really good to me. And as a result, I'm actually turning back around, trying to pay it forward, as you were talking about earlier. And that's something that we do on Sunday. And people can see a flyer that we post on my Facebook page. But that's about it. So that's, if somebody wants to get in touch with me, I guess my Facebook page.
All right, gotcha. Well, awesome, guys. Listen, we are out of time. I will tell you this. Enjoy the rest of your day on purpose. And I mean that. God bless everybody. Take care. Thank you, Mr. Romacio.
Thank you. God bless everybody.